Hey everyone, it's Oz, welcome. Today I'll be talking about the Divine Priestess of Sangonomiya Shrine, leader of Watatsumi Island, Kokomi. Now, Kokomi is quite an interesting character because when she was released, she was doom-posted to hell and now is one of the most used characters in the game. Wait, I think I'm having a deja vu here. Yeah, it kinda feels like every second character in the game gets doom-posted or is generally underrated on release. The reason why she was considered so bad early on is because of a passive that basically doesn't let her crit unless you make a meme build, and she deals less damage than Hutao. Because of course it would only be fair if a healer dealt as much damage as one of the best DPSs in the game. Sure, I mean, of course those were probably the most ridiculous complaints that I remember, but generally it felt like a lot of people thought of her more as a DPS than a healer slash AoE Hydra player that she is. I personally didn't pull for Kokomi on her release in 2.1, as I was saving for Hutao actually. I remember that I believed others that she was bad, although the reasoning being that she can't crit was off to me. You could have large scalings and do reliable damage without critting. I also thought that the idea of having a slightly worse DPS that can heal while dealing damage was really cool. I thought she was just a character meant for people who prefer more comfortable playstyle. Anyway, I did enjoy her story quest and was kinda sad that I didn't get her, especially with how much I love Watatsumi Island. So in 2.5 she got a rerun and I was saving for Kazuha, so I was going to skip her again. But I thought to myself, I'll do 2 10 pulls. I'm on PT0 and have a 50-50 to win, so I didn't expect anything to happen. But on the second 10 pull there was the gold star. As I was skipping through the pulls, there she was. I got Kokomi. Of course I was really excited, especially because usually I had horrible luck in the gacha, making this pull even more special. And now Kokomi is part of one of my main Abyss teams, and she's often used when I'm experimenting with teams that generally want Hydro. Alright, intro was slightly longer than usual, so I'll get to talking about her kit, gearing, teams and pros and cons now. So, Kokomi. She's a 5-star Hydro Catalyst with a main role of being healer slash reliable off-field AoE Hydro applier. Her normal attacks generally don't deal too much damage, but they shoot cute fish, so I like them. Her skill puts a jellyfish that heals party members based on Kokomi's HP and deals hydro damage to the enemies in its range. The jellyfish lasts 12 seconds, ticks every 2 seconds and has 20-second cooldown. So only 60% uptime, right? Not that good. But now for the more interesting part of her kit. The burst. Kokomi's burst adds HP scaling to her attacks and skill. It also makes it so that her attacks heal your entire party, unlike the skill which only heals characters in the field. What's also cool about the burst is that thanks to one of the passives, it refreshes the duration of the jellyfish, letting it have 100% uptime. There's also another passive that adds additional healing bonus scaling to the attacks in the burst form, and one that I mentioned earlier on that reduces Kokomi's crit rate by 100%. It also gives her 25% healing bonus, so not too bad. Oh yeah, the burst also gives Kokomi slight resistance to interruption, and it lets her walk on the water. Also remember, it gets cancelled when you swap characters. Alright, so that's her kit. If it comes to artifacts, there are many options, depending on how you use Kokomi. If you're using her as an on-fielder in non-bloom teams, you can give her Ocean Hued Clam, which will deal damage based on her healing. If you're using her as an off-fielder in non-bloom teams, her best set will be Tenacity of the Millet, and in bloom teams she will want either Deepwood Memories if she's not the main source of blooms, or Gilded Dreams slash Flowers of Paradise Lost if she is the main source of blooms. And as for the stats you want, it will also depend on the team you're running. Of course you will want enough energy recharge to reliably use her burst to refresh the jellyfish. The threshold will of course depend on the team you're running, and then you can focus on giving her HP and healing bonus for bigger heals, Hydro Damage Goblet and healing bonus Circlet if she's a non-fielder in non-bloom teams and you want to deal more damage with her, or if you're running her in Nilu bloom team, you'll want to give her a lot of elemental mastery. Of course you can balance the builds to give her some HP to have enough healing, it's really up to you. I personally mostly use her in my Raiden team, where she runs 4-piece Tenacity with HP Sands and Goblet, healing bonus Circlet and a lot of ER substats. Now time for the weapons. Kokomi has quite a couple options that, as you can guess, depend on her team. In the teams where she's just an off-field healer for an attack scaling DPS, Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slaying will be an excellent choice, giving her HP and letting you buff your main DPS. You can also use Prototype Amber to buff your HP slightly more and ease your ER requirements. requirements. If you're using her as an on-fielder, you can use her signature weapon, Everlasting Donut, but it's not much better than Prototype Amber, and generally it's not recommended to roll for it, although it is really pretty. If you're using Kokomi in a Taser team as an on-fielder, Hakushin Ring is a great option, buffing your team's Hydro or Electro damage. And finally, if you're using Kokomi to trigger Nilu Blooms, you'll want an Elemental Mastery weapon like Sacrificial Fragments, or even better, Nahida's signature, 1,000 Floating Dreams. Alright, Constellations. Don't. They're not worth it. Okay, if you wanna know what they do, C1 makes it so that during the burst, Kokomi's third attack fires off a fish, dealing damage based on her HP, which is kinda cool because it gives her better Hydro application on field. C2 buffs Kokomi's healing when she heals a character that's below 50% health, which you might often just not benefit from. C3 and C5 are talent buffs, so healing damage buffs. C4 increases Kokomi's attack speed by 10% while in the burst, and her normal attacks restore some energy. I kinda like this one because I like fast attacks. And C6 gives Kokomi 40% Hydro damage bonus for 4 seconds when her attacks during burst heal an ally that has 80% or more health. If they're 100% health, it also counts, so it's pretty easy to trigger. Her cons are alright, but generally are not the best, and I wouldn't bother with them, given how expensive that stuff is. Teams. Kokomi is a very versatile character. First of all, she can be used as a healer pretty much anywhere, so kinda like Zhongli but heals instead of a shield. It's kinda what I do, but because Hydro is arguably the best element in the game, Kokomi will be an especially great character in many teams. Starting off, we have Freeze teams. Because she reliably applies Hydro in AoE, she will be great at keeping enemies frozen, keeping them in place, and giving your DPS the benefits of Blizzard's Trayer set. The most notable Freeze team would probably be Ayaka, Shenhe, Kokomi and Kazuha. Next up we have Hyperbloom/Burgeon teams. Because Kokomi's off-field Hydro application isn't very fast, you will usually want to pair her with Xingqiu or Yelan in those teams. However, there are also Quick Bloom teams which generate less blooms but give your main DPS benefits of Quicken. Some of notable teams are Kokomi, Nahida, Xingqiu or Yelan, and Hyperbloom or Burgeon trigger like Kuki, Raiden or Toma. Speaking of Dendro, Kokomi will be an excellent character for Nilu Bloom teams, providing healing to the team and generating many bountiful cores. In those teams, she will often be built for Elemental Mastery. Kokomi can also be used as an on-field driver for Taser, so Kokomi, Fischl, Beidou, Xingqiu or Yelan, and Sucrose. By using her, you will sacrifice some damage, but the team will be easier to play. That's also the case for Vape teams, so something like Kokomi, Xiangling, Bennett and Sucrose. You will deal a lot of damage, of course, because it's Bennett and Xiangling combo, right? But Kokomi might be unable to keep up with the pyro application if you apply too much pyro. That can be somewhat prevented by getting C1, but please don't. This team will of course deal less damage than Child or Ayato variant, but will be easier to play. Alright, so we went over her kit, gearing, teams. Now time for my thoughts. What are her pros and cons? As for the cons, I wouldn't say there's many. Probably the biggest one is that if it comes to comfort, Zhongli will be superior. While Kokomi heals a lot, she won't prevent your characters from getting one-shot. She will also not provide resistance to interruption, which can be very important for some characters that lack it. In my case, I use her with Raiden, who during her burst has insane interruption resistance, which is also why this team works so well for me. Oh, there's also one bigger con, and that's that unless you have sacrificial fragments, you can't reposition the jellyfish, so if you want to get healed you have to play Circle Impact. And the same applies to dealing off-field Hydro to the enemies. And other than that, I'd say there aren't any other real cons. Sure, she needs quite a lot of VR, but that's just part of gearing her. She won't apply as much Hydro in single target as Xingqiu or Yelan, but they just fulfill a different role. She applies Hydro in AoE. Also, she won't be as good of a driver for Xiangling as Ayato or Child, but then again, she just has a different role. If it comes to her pros, well, she heals a lot. I'll be honest, I don't like playing Bennett. While he's a great character, I find his healing to be quite lacking. But Kokomi, she's amazing. Of course, there are situations where I have to reset my Abyss, mostly Maguken Q1-shotting my Ya or Consecrated Beasts killing someone in my team, but usually Kokomi's healing is enough to prevent me from dying, even though I rarely bother with Doji. Also, she's the best character at off-field AoE Hydro application, which is why she's so great in Freeze or Bloom teams. So overall, I think Kokomi is quite worth pulling for. For me personally, she isn't a must pull, but I don't play Freeze or Bloom teams. But even then, I have no idea who would fill a healer slot instead of her in the Raiden team. Also, I just want to say that I find her kit design to be amazing. There is just something so cool about a healer that can also somewhat fulfill a DPS role if you prefer a more comfy playstyle. So, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Let me know in the comments what you think about Kokomi. Are you rolling for her in this rerun? Or maybe if you have her, you can share your thoughts and experience with her. Anyway, thanks for watching, have a great day, and see ya!